this is the Bitaxe Gamma. It is the latest Bitaxe product that's come from the Open Source Miners United. And we just got a batch of them. The roosters here are going in Bitcoin Beach here.
Yeah,
Yesterday we had the bulls going by, and everyone's like, Bitcoin bulls, Bitcoin bulls.
Let's go.
It was great. So the Bitaxe product here, it's a we call them a non-profit Bitcoin miner, okay? And so mining is something that is done for profit. It is the process of using a whole bunch of electricity, a whole bunch of computer power, and helping to keep the network in sync, okay? So while the nodes are relaying blocks, they're relaying new transactions, they're relaying information, things aren't always in perfect sync. What the miners are doing is they're actually working to discover the new blocks and keep Bitcoin in perfect sync. So every 10 minutes, the network syncs up, a new block is discovered, and now we know the current balance of every Bitcoin address and hard codes that into the blockchain. And that's what Bitcoin miners are doing all around the world. Now, this device is for learning about Bitcoin mining, helping to decentralize the network, and also it's a fun lottery because you can actually, because you are actually mining for Bitcoin, you can win the block reward, which is the new issue of Bitcoin that's released on a declining scale. So this device is called the Bitaxe 601 or the Bitaxe Gamma, and as soon as you turn it on, it comes right on, and the first thing it tries to do is connect to the default network that it's been programmed for, which is called MySSID. Now, SSID just means Wi-Fi network name. It's a technical term for that, but it also starts a configuration SSID, and it's called you can see that this one's called the Bitaxe 0E01. It's just a sort of a random 4-digit number and letters in case you have a bunch of Bitaxes running at your house. Now, it's important to note that the Bitaxe is a piece of hardware, but it's also software. It's also AXOS, which is an operating system that runs on this piece of equipment. And AXOS makes it so easy to start up and configure a Bitcoin miner, whereas normally you'd need to have some pretty technical ability to get to do that. And so with AXOS, as soon as you turn it on for the first time, it says, okay, I have this default Wi-Fi network, my SSID. That's obviously not your home Wi-Fi network. So it creates a network for you to join. And then on your computer or your phone, you join this sort of temporary Wi-Fi network. You give it your home Wi-Fi information, you give it your mining pool information or your Bitcoin address where you want your reward to go to. You hit restart and it's off to the races. And so it automatically connects to your Wi-Fi and starts mining Bitcoin. Did you have any questions?
No, not so far. I'm looking so far.
Okay, great. So with the things turned on, you can see that there's a network here called Bitaxe 0E01. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on my computer here, and I'm going to go to Wi-Fi networks. And you can see I'm at the Bitcoin hardware store. So there's a couple of networks here. We've got our free Wi-Fi, but we're just going to wait. Oh, and here it is right here, Bitaxe 0E01. That's the same as what we see on the display. So we're going to click connect. And we're automatically going to connect to this network. And as soon as we do, just like when you go to a Starbucks or a library or free Wi-Fi, instead of having an I agree page, it's going to bring you right to the homepage of AXOS. And because this network doesn't provide any internet, it's not really a real Wi-Fi. Like, it's not going to give you internet, right? It doesn't go anywhere. Yep. But it starts this sort of temporary network. It has a little web server built into AXOS. And you can, as soon as you open up, instead of taking you to an I agree page, it's going to take you right into AXOS. Okay, and so from the dashboard here, we can see a handful of interesting statistics. This is obviously going to get more interesting once it's running, but you can see hash rate, shares, efficiency, difficulty. It's got some charts here that are blank. It shows you how much power it's using, how much voltage, how much power the ASIC is requesting, the temperature. It's really important, and a whole bunch of other statistics that we'll get into once it's running. But there's sort of three main benefits to buying one of these and running a miner at your house. The first one is learning about Bitcoin mining. And there's so many people out there that have become Bitcoiners. They're good Bitcoiners. They're pro Bitcoiners. And myself included. I've been a Bitcoiner for 11 years. And I've never mined. I didn't know anything about an entire category of Bitcoin. I was totally naive to it. Now, I understood the mechanics of it. Okay, computers, crunching numbers, ever-increasing difficulty, trying to, this mathematical race is trying to secure the network, and by making it really difficult, it stops attackers from just joining just to attack. Their incentives are aligned because they want the new issue Bitcoin. So I understand conceptually, I understood some of the concepts, but I'd never actually done it. And so, one of the first things you get right when you get into this product is you start to learn about some of the trade-offs that miners have to choose. Do I want to run it at a high wattage? Then the temperature is going to be too high. There's different considerations that miners have to consider. And in this not-for-profit fun Bitcoin miner, you can learn all about that. And that's what we're doing right now, is we're sort of learning about these new statistics that, I never really thought about. So, fan percentage, fan RPMs, ASIC frequency, some of the pool information. And so right now, obviously it's not the most useful information because it hasn't been turned on yet. But if we go up to the menu here, we've got a couple options here. So the dashboard, that's where all our useful statistics are. Swarm is the next one. Now, Swarm is when you have a whole bunch of AXOS devices at your house.
Okay.
And so if you're a gambling man, I am, you can have a handful of Bitaxes and have even greater chance of winning the block reward. And you're helping to decentralize the network, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, however many you want to have at your house. It's also especially handy, as time goes on. You might have one Bitaxe, but then every sort of 4 months, the technology gets better. We've noticed about a 4-month product life cycle for these. So the last ones were the Supras. We had them in stock for about 4 months, and then now we have the Gammas. But if you go out, you have a Supra, then you say, hey, I want to get a Gamma, or maybe I'll wait till the next one. Pretty soon you've got older ones at your house too, right? Yep. You might have a handful. You don't want to throw them out. And although the chip power is constantly getting better, you may want to sort of create a little swarm at your house with a couple of these things. And so that's what the swarm is for. You set them up, and then you can control all of them with just one AXOS software.
Yep.
But where we really want to go in here is into settings, okay? And this is where we're going to configure a couple of basic settings here. And we're going to configure our home Wi-Fi information.
Yep.
So let's just take a look here. So the first setting we're going to configure is what the name of this Bitaxe is. So again, if you just have one Bitaxe, you can just call it Bitaxe, but I like to give it the same name as we see on the little screen here. And the reason I do that is
you have multiple next to each other,
and it's just good practice. And if you end up having more, I like to name it the same. I don't like to just call it Bitaxe. As more software updates come out for these things, and I think there already is, there's latest software. Mm-hmm. As more software updates come, I'm sure they'll do that sorts of stuff. But this Bitaxe OS just makes it so easy. Instead of going on the command line and saying I want to rename my Bitaxe, it's just a nice little field. It just looks like a website.
Yep.
The next thing is your Wi-Fi SSID. Now remember, SSID just means name, just a complicated word. So what's your Wi-Fi name at home, right? And so what I'm going to do is we're going to get this paired up with my iPhone hotspot. And we're going to go iPhone 53, and then I'm going to type in my iPhone password here. And so that at home, you would put in your home Wi-Fi network name. Now, it's really important to get it exactly correct. Okay, case sensitive, okay. Spelling, everything, every space, yep. Everything. It's got to be exact. I'm sure in future AXOS versions, they'll have a little search for Wi-Fi. They can just click it from a drop down. But just right now, it's still early in AXOS days. And so you'll just need to enter it. And if you're having trouble, if it's not connecting, I would definitely, that's the first place I would check is, did you put it exactly how your home Wi-Fi is? And then you enter your Wi-Fi password. And so now when we do the restart, when we restart the device, it's going to connect right to my home Wi-Fi. It's not going to have this temporary, Wi-Fi network that I have to, the makeshift I agree network. And then the next 4 are really important. And this is the Stratum URL, Stratum port, Stratum user, and Stratum password. And that's sort of a complicated word for, let me back up a little bit here. So these 4 fields here, your Bitcoin miner is muscle. It's a lot of muscle. It's a very, very serious chip is in there. It's actually pretty small, but it's a lot of muscle. But just like an American football team, you can have all the muscle in the world, but if you don't have a coach, if you don't have information coming to the device, it doesn't know what to do.
Which one's the best crypto asset? Well, Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Okay. What's the second best? There is no second best. There's no second best crypto asset. There's a crypto asset. It's called Bitcoin, right?
And because this device isn't a node, because it doesn't have a hard drive, it doesn't keep a copy of the blockchain, it's not aware of new Bitcoin transactions, it's just the muscle. It needs instructions, it needs information. And if you configure your home node with mining software on it as well, you can put in the information for your node here. But most people don't do that. What they do is they connect to a mining panel. And there's 2 types of mining pools. There's pools where you are literally pooling your hash power into this mining pool. and you will get a proportionate payout as time goes on. And that's one way to mine. You have to choose here. You either have a pool where you're doing proportionate payouts, and just like an office lottery pool, you put your mining power into this pool. Whenever the pool is rewarded, you will get a proportionate payout for that. And
Based off the amount of energy that your miner puts
exactly
out.
the amount of the amount of work that you've contributed in that period. And different pools have different policies for how they pay out. And so, the next step as part of your setup of your Bitaxe is you need to pause and go and take a look at the different pools that are out there. There are a bunch of different mining pools. There's some popular ones, there's some not so popular ones. And there are different pools out there that have different sets of trade-offs, how they pay out, the fees they charge, the KYC they have if they're American pools. And so there's different trade-offs out there. So this is a learning experience. There's great resources for learning about different pools. The other thing is that the pools are changing. And so by the time you're watching this video, there may be different pools. So I'll encourage you to go online and take a look at the different pools out there. But no matter what, you need to connect your miner to some information source. And there's the URL, the port, the username, and the password. And so let
me ask you one thing.
Yeah.
Now, you're showing us how to set up to pool mine this?
Yeah.
Is it a completely different to set it up to solo mine it?
No. So there's two types of mining. There's pool or proportionate payouts, and then there's the big money. There's I want to solo mine. I don't want any payouts. The only payout I want is the 3 Bitcoin, the block reward plus the fees in that block. And that's how I mine, because I'm a go big or go home.
Can we go big on this?
Totally. And
That's
so
great.
actually the default settings on here are for that.
Oh, sweet.
So
Okay.
no matter what, you're always connecting to an information source, and they call that stratum. You're connecting to an information source. The question is, are you using a pool where you're pooling, or are you using a pool that lets you solo mine, where they don't pay you out? They literally just provide the information to you. They provide the block templates, and in your blocks that you're guessing, you're attaching your Bitcoin address in those blocks.
Okay.
And so that's actually the default. So the default is public pool, and that is a pool that lets you solo mine. So you're solo mining for Bitcoin, and you've got you've got the pool name, the pool port, and then this is the default Bitcoin address. That's not our Bitcoin address. I assume that's the Open Source Miners United Bitcoin address, because when they ship them, that's what they put in. We'll leave that for now for this demonstration.
Okay.
But so if you want to solo mine, you just need to replace this with your Bitcoin address, and that's it.
That's it.
Okay. So you just leave public pool, you leave this, you change this, you leave the .bitaxe here, so that if you win, the whole world knows that a Bitaxe won. If you don't want to be identified as a Bitaxe, you can remove the .bitaxe.
And you can change to anything. You can change it to Matta X, correct?
You could change it to
My name and Bitaxe.
I'm not certain. I'm not certain if you can attach your own information there. That'd be a question for public pool. You have to take a look on their documentation.
Okay, absolutely.
My understanding is that you just you can change this, and that .bitaxe is something they're looking for.
Okay.
When they when blocks are announced.
Got it.
That's
Okay.
as far as I go in my knowledge. I'm not sure if you can custom specify your own moniker, your own word. You may be able to. But remember that because you're using publicpool.io, that's a website. They happen to be called Public Pool. They're going to be, your information source. So there's a degree of sovereignty and trust that you're giving up to Public Pool, right?
Yep.
They are going to determine, what transactions you're going to include in your blocks that you're guessing. So what a miner does is there's pending transactions, the mempool, and there's the blockchain, confirmed blocks, right? The miners take a look at the pending Bitcoin transactions, form them into a block, and guess what the next block may be. And they're doing this trillions of times a second. Mm-hmm. And so because they're taking a big pool of pending transactions, the mempool, and from that pool, they're taking usually the highest bidders, right? Whoever's bidding the highest on to get confirmed. They have to make a subset of that entire pile of pending transactions. And so there's a little bit of decision making there, right? They can say, okay, well, I just want to get the highest paying transactions, or I just want to get transactions that are very small and don't take up a lot of space in the blockchain. There's different logic there. Also, some mining pools are under OFAC regulations, so there may be transactions they're not allowed to include, which is crazy. This is a new thing that's sort of come up, but there are some mining pools that follow the OFAC blacklisted Bitcoin accounts, and there are a handful of Bitcoin accounts that are already blacklisted by OFAC. Now, the good news is there's a whole world of miners all around the world, and they don't all follow OFAC. So even if your Bitcoin address gets blacklisted by OFAC, which is the U.S., it just means that U.S. miners can't mine your transactions. But I share your I share your feeling. It's like, what? But OFAC has a blacklisted list of Bitcoin addresses that you are not allowed to mine transactions.
What the heck is OFAC? Wait, and who runs this? Is this like a
This is the U.S.
regulation?
This is the U.S. Yeah. This is like
they won't exist in
yeah.
here, so
The Office of Foreign Asset Control.
yeah, we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Elon's gonna take care of that. Quick.
Yeah, exactly. But so it's and there's like the goal, the premise is, this guy is using money to build
bombs in Iran,
great crazy stuff, and if you want to be an ally of the U.S., you will not touch that money. And so this continues a theme of, instead of attacking the criminals, try to attack their money, which is only a recent phenomenon, right? You used to go after the criminals, but now, since money has been digitized in the banking system, police increasingly are sort of tainting certain money and saying this money's dirty and this money's clean, and they're sort of going after crime at the monetary level because it's been easy. And I somewhat disagree with that. I think that all money should be money. 50 Cent famously said, all money is money. And I like that line. And I think that you shouldn't try to go after criminals at the monetary layer. People should be free to transact how they want. And if you want to get a criminal, get a criminal. You got a lot of tools to do it.
Absolutely.
And you don't need to start tainting money as clean or dirty. It's one of the things that Bitcoin is trying to solve. The collateral damage of putting the onus on us to prove the source of funds, to prove all this stuff, to prove that it's clean, the collateral damage of that is immense. It's caused a lot of issues. My company that I started in Canada from 2013 to 2018 was effectively closed down because of these types of rules. And the collateral damage is immense compared to the amount that okay, so you freeze the guy's bank account, but he's just going to open another bank account. He's going to open another Bitcoin address. He's going to get, and so you sort of start this process of tainting money. So back to this. So your pool that you choose, it's really important which pool you choose, because they're your data source, and whether you're actually pool mining or you're solo mining, either way, your Bitaxe needs to get information from somewhere. It needs to get what's called the block template from somewhere. And the decision-making process and what makes it into your block template, you want to make sure that aligns with your values.
Yep.
And you don't want to be mining for years and not mining blocks that align with your values. One of the really important and interesting things about nation states mining Bitcoin is that now, if another nation wants to censor their transactions, like OFAC or something like that, if they're mining their own blocks, well, eventually I'll get a block and my transaction will get included in the blockchain. Sorry. And so one of the really cool things about nation states mining Bitcoin is that it ensures their ability to include transactions that other countries may not agree with. And so nation state Bitcoin mining is really important for the sovereignty of the country as Bitcoin continues to grow. So that's the pool information.
Absolutely.
And they call that the stratum URL, stratum port,
Yep.
stratum user, stratum password. And so you need an information source that's good and that you agree with. And so, but if you don't want to do anything, if you don't want to research pools, if you don't want to do anything, if you just want the easy path, just come on in here, put your home Wi-Fi name, your home Wi-Fi password, and set your Bitcoin address to be your Bitcoin address. Now, what Bitcoin address should you choose? What I like to do is I like to have it as a Bitcoin address that I can get some kind of notifications on. So I use my Blue Wallet on my phone. Now, sure, that means 3 Bitcoin is going to be landing on my phone if I get it,
sure.
But I will know if I win a block because the Bitaxe itself doesn't have any alert system. It doesn't have a speaker.
Yep.
It's nothing crazy is going to happen. You're not going to know you found a block. So it's really important to pick a Bitcoin address that you have some type of notification or awareness around.
Okay.
And so I use my Blue Wallet because Blue Wallet sends me notifications, which are great.
Yep.
And so maybe one day, maybe during this talk, all of a sudden, I'll get 3 Bitcoins in my Blue Wallet. And so that could happen at any time when I solo mine. And we call that lottery mining. the full disclosure, we tell this to everybody, these are not for-profit miners.
Right.
If you solo mine, you're literally not going to get any proportionate payouts. The only thing you're going for is the whole block reward and the fees in that block. Right now it's 3 Bitcoins. Used to be 50, then 25, 12, 6 and change, and 3 and change now. You won't get, statistically, as a mathematician, it's going to run forever and you're not going to get any money. Okay. And that's the full disclosure there. But it's fun to think about being in this 3 Bitcoin lottery, and every 10 minutes you have a ticket, fair and square. And it's directly proportionate to how much mining power you're contributing to the Bitcoin network. And so that's the starting settings. Then you've got some settings here for frequency and core voltage. Now, frequency is how fast the processor is processing. And so the default's 525, but as you can see, you can kind of go up and up and up. And the term for that is called overclocking. And so if you want, you can overclock your device. You can imagine that you're starting to use more energy, you're starting to create more heat. If you don't have air conditioning in your home, you may not want that. The device may get so hot, and if it gets too hot, a screen will come up on the display and they'll say overheated.
Okay.
And it will turn itself off. It's programmed to turn itself off if it gets to a danger zone, just like a red zone RPM. But if it overheats, you're going to have to flash the device and wipe the software and re-flash it.
Okay.
And that's not too hard to do. You connect it via USB. Yep. Google BitX Web Flasher, and you have to use Google Chrome. Yep. And it will just wipe the software and restart it and start from scratch again.
Yep.
So, but these settings, I would caution you if you don't know what you're doing, because you don't want it to be too hot. If you're finding that your home is really hot, you can certainly underclock. That's not dangerous.
Okay. Yeah.
You can underclock it. And
the default is what?
The default's 525.
Okay.
That's what it comes as.
Perfect.
The core voltage 1150. You can sort of mess with those things, but I would recommend you do some YouTubing, do some research, and make sure you know what you're doing here. Some basic settings here: flip the screen, invert fan polarity, and definitely leave on automatic fan control. Otherwise, it'll always be on full blast all the time. And so automatic fan control just it sounds good. So we've put in our name, We're going to leave all this the same, and we're going to hit save.
Okay.
So we'll hit save. Save was a success. And it says you must restart this device after saving for the changes to take effect. And so we'll go up here and we'll hit restart. And what's going to happen now is it's going to turn off the default network. And then it's going to try and connect to that iPhone 53 network. And I'm just going to pull out my phone and make sure I'm ready to hotspot here. And I'm going to click restart.
Good.
And
now
now
a little notification there in the corner letting you know that it's successful.
Yep, the BitX is now restarting. And if we come back onto our BitX here, you now see that it's trying to connect to iPhone 53. So just give it a second. So now it's connected to the Wi-Fi. It's connected to the pool. And so now we're going to see, it's going to cycle through a few screens here. And so this is screen number 2. It shows you the fan RPMs. It shows you the temperature, 32 degrees when it starts. On this screen shows you some information, but the most important is that IP address. So that's, if you want to make changes, if you want to get back into AXOS, right, it's not going to do that I agree screen again. You need that IP address, and you can just type that IP on any computer on your home network and log back into AXOS. So let's get...
Oh, we turn the brightness back up on that?
Yep. I'm going to get into the Satoshi 3 network here, and we'll log back in AXOS.
Okay.
And we'll take a look at what...
You see that fan? Oh, yeah, it is running. Holy cow.
It's quiet.
Can't even hear that. Can't even
No, it's quiet. It's good. It's good. If it gets a little dusty, sometimes it can get a little noisy.
And do you guys have 2 of these in stock?
We got lots.
Okay, I'm going to buy one for my dad, too.
Good. Great Christmas gift.
Yeah, it's so
Great
cool.
Christmas
He's gonna be
gift.
so excited with all this stuff.
Yeah, and it's a fun thing to have in your office. You have it in your office, and it's like, okay, I'm mining. And then when people come in, they're like, what the hell is that? And you're like, let me tell you.
Yeah, my dad wants me to buy him a Corvette with my Bitcoin money, so I'm going to tell him.
Yeah.
So I gotta,
Once we get a block, yeah, no problem. Okay, so you can see now we're at 1,000 gigahashes, which is a terahash. Okay. Now these devices at the default are rated for 1.2 terahash. Okay. So right now we're running at 1,000. We're still warming up. The process, when it starts, it's like a car engine. It's starting to warm up. It's going to go. And if you're still only running at 1,000 or 1,100, we can go back into the settings and turn up the frequency a little bit, and that's how we can sort of clock it up just a little bit.
Okay.
Right. And so you see there 192.168.10.116.
Yeah.
IP address. On any computer in your house, you can type that in, and it's important to know that the BitX doesn't have any login or password information. So anybody who knows that address, anybody who's on your local network, who's at your house, will be able to see the Bitaxe and come into this configuration page. So it's important to note that, you know, you're not going to have a stranger in your house. You're not going to give a stranger your Wi-Fi password, but just so you're aware, anybody who's on your local network can access AXOS. And so I imagine in future versions, they'll have a login and password to get in here, just like your router.
Yep.
But, you know, anybody can come in here and you can see right away. So I can see this information on two places. I can see it on the AXOS display here. And then I can also see it on the screen. And on the screen here, we're back to the IP address and the version. We're running 2.2.2. I believe 2.4 just came out yesterday or a couple of days ago. And then back to the gigahertz. So you see it measures in gigahertz. So it's 1,036 gigahertz. So that's a terahash.
Yep.
It's giga and then tera. And then uptime's been up for 3 minutes. Oh, it moves a little quickly here. The fan's at 6,100. The temperature, 55. Perfect. What we want is 50 to 60. Get into the 60s, you're getting close to that red line where it's going to shut you down. And so just keep going here.
Core 112.
Just all kinds of interesting. I'm not fully familiar with every single one of these statistics, but Google's your friend in that case. Most important here is uptime, so 3 minutes. You can see that it's been up 3 minutes, and so that's going to get higher and higher. And you know, you want to. That's kind of fun to see that counter go up.
And every 10 minutes, you're getting ready to hit the lottery.
Totally. And the other one that's important here is power. You can see power here is 16.24 watts. That's a good number. You want to be around 16, 20 watts, like a light bulb, holding incandescent light bulb, just on all the time. So again, you know, if you get to the point where you know, the device is older, you know, you've got 4 or 5 of them. If you underclock the device, if you set that frequency to the lowest number, you can get down to just a couple watts, right? And you could lower your power usage. Again, keeping one light bulb in your house, you're not going to notice it on your power bill. You know, we're talking $5 here. You're not going to feel it. And so it'll just cycle through that information, cycle through the displays. But more importantly, we can see the information here. And you see that the terahash is changing, right? And it changes based on temperature. You know, we just got a cool breeze came in here or a hot breeze. When you're in your office, you might have less of a variance. In a more controlled environment. We're outside right now. But and as the device turns on and sort of gets warmed up, gets like an engine, kind of starts up, and it's and eventually you'll sort of get that nice clean idle. And so right now you can sort of see the amounts changing. It looks like to me at the we're at 525 is the frequency. I think we're gonna sort of be around a terahash is what it was. Sort of seems where we're trending here. You can see that it's got 40 shares so far. It's got some difficulty information, and you can see now the power information's accurate. So we're using 16 watts. It is a 5-volt charger, so it's using 4.9 volts. That's what we want to see. The ASIC's only using 1.1 volts of that. The fan's currently running at 58%, and like I said, I can't even hear it. Like it's so quiet. Fan RPMs here. So, you know, if you saw this at 99 and 99, it's like, you know, we're getting warm here. Temperatures got up to 58 degrees. That's okay. We're still in the 50s. That's a great number. That's what we want to see. And again, you can confirm the pool information here. So we're on public pool here, and we're mining to this Bitcoin address. And just want to make sure that's the Bitcoin address that you consent to, that you want. And that's it. I mean, you don't even have to relog into this, because once you plug in your Wi-Fi information in your Bitcoin account, you can just see the information live on here. You never have to touch this AXOS again. It's up and running. You know, you may want to follow Open Source Miner, Open Source Miners United on social media. Make sure you're staying on top of things. Like I said, there's already an update for it. I think we're at 2.4. So you may want to do an update, and I'll just show you quickly.
Yeah, please show us how easy it is to update.
To do an update, you just go on Google and you go Bitaxe Web Flasher. Okay.
Bitaxe.web.flasher?
No, just Bitaxe space Web Flasher. And the first result here is on GitHub. And you'll take a look on your GitHub here.
It's want clue for anybody that's listening.
wantclue.github.io/bitaxe-web-flasher. And you can see here, you know, there's a bunch of different options here. Looks like the Bitaxe Gamma here, the latest version is 2.3, my mistake. And you'll click on this, and then you'll click Connect, and we'll click Allow. We need to actually be using Google Chrome for this to work. Hide the bookmark. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to this website, and we're going to click on Bitaxe Gamma. That's the product we have, is the Gamma board version 601. That matches what we see right there. So we know we have a Gamma, we know we have a 601, and we're going to update to 2.3.0. Okay, Now, the first thing I like to do, I'm not even going to connect the devices together, okay? The first thing I like to do is just hit connect.
Okay.
I like to hit connect. And what comes up are a couple of devices. There's a Bluetooth port, there's debug console, but there's no Bitaxe here. And the reason I like to do it without it connected is because I like to see the list as it is without it connected. Because some computers, you can actually have like 5 or 6 things here, and you're like, which one's my Bitaxe? Okay. Yeah. So I like to do a connect without the two connected at first. I find that important, and it's very helpful because it might not say Bitaxe, it might say USB 4 or something.
Yep.
And so, do we have a Lightning or a USB-C cord?
I sure do.
So I'm going to plug this in, and then before I plug in my my USB into my actual Bitaxe, before I do that, while it's running, I'm going to on the bottom here. You see, there's 2 buttons. One says, and you might want to get a up close. One says reset and one says boot. So you push and hold the boot button for 3 seconds, then you release it and then connect the USB. And now over here, we'll go back and we'll hit connect. And now the third item should show up here. Okay, but because it's a Mac, unfortunately, it's not going to. We're going to need and I haven't figured out what the quirk is. There might be some setting on Mac. I haven't figured it out yet, unfortunately. But a third one would come up here. You did connect, you did okay, and it would just do it. It's like one click. It's super, super easy, super, super fast. You don't have to do anything, and it just will automatically. Now, when you do an update, it will wipe it, and we'll just start from the beginning again. So you'll have to join that network, put in your home Wi-Fi, and that's how you do an update. The other thing where this is handy, if you overheat it or any problem happens, that's when you'll just need to do this quick web flasher. It'll flash the device, and you'll be good to go. And so that's basically it for the Bitaxe. It's super simple to set up. You just fire it up, join its temporary network, give it your home Wi-Fi information, give it your Bitcoin address where you want to get paid and where you'll get notified, and you're off to the races. And then you'll just want to keep an eye on that little information display and make sure it's actually mining. There isn't some problem. If you have trouble with anything, if you find that it's not working or something's not working, first thing I do is I say take it to a friend's house and try their Wi-Fi, because there may be an issue with your home Wi-Fi. Especially if you have a 5 gigahertz and a 2.4, make sure you're connecting to the 2.4. But if you're having any trouble at all with your Wi-Fi, take it to a friend's house, try to set it up there, and then you can isolate if it's an issue with the Bitaxe or an issue with your own Wi-Fi. If you have any other problems, you can shoot us an email at hello@tbhs.sv, and we're happy to help as best we can, even if you didn't buy it from us. We're happy to help because we love the project, and we love the idea of decentralizing mining. And one other thing I want to mention is, you're not just decentralizing hash power, because that's what you're decentralizing hash power when you're adding these devices, right? Centralization is not a binary. It's not either decentralized or centralized. I mean, in some cases it's fully centralized, but in Bitcoin, it's a tug of war, right? Yep. And recently mining has been tugged towards centralization because it's been left to the pros. A whole contingent of Bitcoiners doesn't really know anything about mining, and it's being tugged towards centralization. With these devices, you're tugging hash power back to decentralization. And if every Bitcoiner ran a small miner and kept it semi up to date, we could meaningfully decentralize mining, tug that backwards. But that's just on hash power. The other way you're decentralizing Bitcoin is in governance, because if there's a whole chunk of Bitcoiners that don't know anything about Bitcoin mining, and the miners say, hey, we want to make a small tweak to the protocol. And there are updates to the Bitcoin protocol. It's an open source process. If there's a whole chunk of Bitcoiners that don't know anything about Bitcoin mining, they can't really contribute to the governance of Bitcoin mining and the changes that are required. And so it's important to learn about mining so you can also help decentralize governance. And the governance of it doesn't get gravitated to just these big miners. And they can sort of say, hey, we want this and we want that. And everyone's like, I don't know, sure, Yep. You want to be informed in the decisions that are happening to change Bitcoin and tweaks Bitcoin over time. Obviously, major ones don't happen, but the little ones do. And so it's important to help decentralize governance as well.
And what is the life expectancy on one of these? How long can you run one of these and attempt to hit the lottery before it kind of burns out?
The life expectancy as a brand new miner is 3 to 4 months. That's what we've seen. But the device will still run great even if it's not brand new. Like, it will be replaced by another device that will come out. A new chip will be even more powerful. Yep. But just because a new chip is available, it doesn't mean you need to replace your Bitaxe. I would expect these machines to run for at least a couple of years.
Oh, wow, great.
I wouldn't expect them to stop working. It's just the same thing with an iPhone. You know, if you have the iPhone 12,
Yep.
it's still good. It's still, iPhone 15 might be here, but you can still use an iPhone 12. iPhone 12 will keep working for many, many years, even though the 16 is available. So in terms of being the newest product, I would think, you know, we've seen sort of a 4-month product life cycle, and that's when you think of chips and Moore's Law and that kind of stuff, that's sort of pretty on the mark.
Yep.
But one thing to think about, you know, if you care about your lottery tickets and you care about decentralizing the network, you know, you don't want to go years without updating the device, because your impact, every day your impact is going down as more miners are turned on around the world. And so, although you don't need to buy a new one every 3-4 months, if 3 years goes by, you know, it's your mining is going to get more and more insignificant compared to the rest of the network. For me, I look at it as, you know, every year I might buy another one.
Yep.
And I feel like that would be a good contribution as a citizen of the Bitcoin network, staying on top of mining. And I keep my old one running in my swarm. You know, I'm not going to turn it off until I just sort of feel, okay, this one is like 3 years old now. It's peanuts at this point. But yeah, they should run for years, I would expect. It's standard hardware.
And the total cost on this with shipping to the United States?
Yeah, so it depends where you get it. So we don't ship to the United States. Right now, we just opened here in Bitcoin Beach about 8 months ago. At some point, we'd love to start doing international and do all that. But our focus here is on El Salvador right now.
Yep.
And so our cost, including sales tax, including import, is $211 and that's the total cost. If you buy it in the US, it's, you know, 150 or so plus shipping. You got to get it to your house, so it's in that range. So we have competitive pricing here, but
absolutely.
Our price includes the 13% sales tax and includes about a 30% import to bring stuff into El Salvador.
Oh, 30% import tax.
Yeah, it depends on the product. Different products have different different amounts, but you know, they don't tax us on our Bitcoin gains here, so they tax us. You know, it's a different structure, and obviously as El Salvador gets richer, we hope to see some of that come down.
Absolutely, man. Well, that's awesome. So looking forward, I'm going to get one for myself, my son, and my dad, I think. So
that's a great idea.
It's all going to get
a great idea.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome.
Is called Bitcoin, right? There's no second best. Okay, it's not like Google and Facebook. It's not like Apple and Amazon. Yeah, we can debate Apple or Amazon, what's better. They both look like tech monopolies to me. They both look pretty good. On the other end, Bitcoin or no, Bitcoin. Bitcoin's crypto asset.